Okay, let me. Yeah, purple rain. Geechee hit it. Purple rain. All right, here we go. Oh, I think y'all can see. Okay, let me hold on. I want to make sure that wait a minute. Oh, see, y'all see all this text and people got to stop it. Hold on, let me okay, before I do, because they texting like crazy. Can they see this on YouTube? They see the whole PowerPoint? Can somebody tell me?
Yeah, we can see it.
Because my phone is being blown up with texts. If I touch anything on there, it's going to end up. Yeah, okay. Okay. All right. So today we're going to speak about the nature of the human soul. All right. So, in order to truly understand the concept of enjoining what's good and forbidding what's evil, we have to be aware. And I want you guys to teach this to the children too, that committing sins is part of the human nature. As I said earlier, your soul is the one that wants that to happen. It's attracted to what's bad. Okay? Also, it's also a condition of the human soul that it does not like other people to have what it doesn't have. It's also the nature of the human soul to want to be the best. I want to be the best Daya. I want to be the most beautiful woman on earth. I want to be the richest man on earth. I want to have the best car. I want to have the most children. This is part of the human soul. And because of that, it leads to an evil characteristic of the soul, which is known as envy, or in Arabic, glapta. Glapta. Different types of envy, jealousy. Why is it that most of my followers, I was going through this with the students here, my website channel is becoming pretty popular. So I checked to see how many sisters are tuning in. Do y'all know that most of my followers are men? It's not that many women. The only women that are watching me are my students. 25% of my viewers are women, and those 25 are my 25 students I keep telling y'all I got. The rest, the other 70% who follow me on social media and who join my lectures are men. Why is that? Because it's the nature of the female soul to be jealous of another woman, especially a woman that they think is more intelligent than us, a woman who they believe is more beautiful than them, a woman who they believe is better than them. And this is one of the reasons why there's going to be more women in hell than men, because we have it worse than men. So the human soul wants to be better than others. It wants to be preferred over others. It's jealous of others. And it'll go so far as to wish for the destruction of the good deeds that others have done. How many of you have heard people wish bad upon a person that they're jealous of? You're jealous of the fact that that sister has a nice husband who bought her a nice house and she drives a nice car. How many of you have heard other women say, I wish her husband divorced her? I wish Allah burn her house down. I wish somebody would steal her car. That's the nature of the human soul, attracted to what's bad and evil. So the human soul contains these type of elements, desiring to be the best, and also the human soul can be corrupt and jealous. So what is your struggle as a Muslim woman? Your struggle as a Muslim woman is to control those bad elements of your soul, to try to wane them in, tame them down. Okay? And another thing that the human soul suffers with is greed. Greed. We want to have more than others. It goes hand in hand with jealousy. Okay? The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, beware of greedy desire, because that's what destroyed the people who came before you. It commanded them to be stingy, and so they were stingy. It also commanded them to commit oppression against each other, and they did. And it also caused them to cut off their family ties, and they did. You look at the history of the world. You look at the European history, the Viking history, the Roman history, Greek history, Egyptian history, Arabic history, American history. People kill their own sons. A son will kill his own father. Why? To take over his kingdom, to take over his property, to take over what he has. Their desire for greed. You don't want your nephew to rise up and the people to like him more than you, so you will have your nephew executed in his sleep. That happened in in the early years of man's development. Many of us would kill our own family members because we didn't want them to overcome us. And this is why Allah praised the Ansar. Who were the Ansar? They were the Arabs of Medina, because they didn't have these type of characteristics. Remember, guys, the Prophet told us in an authentic hadith, good character. Some people are born with good characters, and those who are not, we have to learn it. Well, the Ansar, may Allah bless them, they were born with good character. Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning. And those who had prepared the home and accepted the faith before the Muslims migrated to them, they loved them. And they found in their hearts no need of the good things that they were given. They shared it. They shared everything with them. And they preferred others over themselves. This is why Allah loved the Ansar. This is why Allah says anyone who hates the Ansar is a kafir. Because they were protected. Allah protected them from the envy and greed that other people suffer with. That was one tribe of Arabs that Allah protected from greed and envy. Okay? And they ended up successful in this world. And they will be successful in the hereafter. And just to show you how those companions were, they asked Allah to make them better. They understood when Allah sent down the verses telling the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam the nature of the human, how our soul is criminal. The Prophet shared this knowledge with the companions the same way that I'm sharing it with you all here. But the difference is the companions took it to heart. They didn't just memorize it. They applied it and acted upon it. In fact, look at Abdul Rahman ibn Auf. He was heard making his tawaf around the Kaaba, saying, "Oh Allah, protect me from the greed and envy of my own soul. Oh Allah, protect me from the greed and envy of my own soul." Subhanallah. How many of us make dua like that? A lot of us make dua asking Allah to give us a husband. We make dua asking Allah to give us money, to make us rich, to give us babies. But how many of us ask Allah to protect us from the evil desires and the evil emotions of ourselves. Subhanallah. And so when one of the other companions heard him making that dua, they asked him, they said, why are you making that supplication? Out of all the things that you can ask Allah to give you on this great day of Hajj, why are you asking Allah to protect you from the evils of your own self? Listen to what Abdul Rahman ibn Auf said. He said, because if I am protected from the desires of my own self, I will then be protected from being stingy. I will be protected from oppressing others. And I would never break the ties of kinship. Subhanallah. Look how many of us break the ties of kinship every day. Look how many of us not only harm ourselves, but we go around viciously harming others. Look how many of us are greedy. Look how many of us are so jealous of someone else. And when we fail to change the condition of ourselves, when we fail to correct the evil nature of ourselves, it leads to many other problems, such as stinginess. You know, Allah bless you with good things in this world, but rather than help others, you want to hoard it for yourself. You know that your nephew is in college. You know that your nephew is working 3 jobs and trying to get his degree so he can graduate and get married. You got money, but rather than help your nephew, you choose to just keep your money in the bank for yourself. How many of us are like that? That's stinginess. How many of us, Allah has blessed you? You got about 50,000 abayas. You got about 50,000 hijabs. You got so many hijabs that you've never even worn them. But you don't like the idea of Laila Nasheeba having a hijab that has the name Gucci on it. So you expect me to take off my Gucci hijab and give it to you just so you can say you got it? That's oppression. You want to deprive me. By the way, I ain't giving you nothing. I ain't the type of person to ask from. Because if I don't give away my stuff unless I don't need it, okay? You get an attitude because Layla looked you in the face and tell you, I ain't giving you nothing. This is my Gucci. You go buy your own, okay? You don't need my stuff. Why would I deprive me of a gift given to me just to make you happy when you ain't gonna wear it? And even if you did wear it, you ain't gonna look like me in it anyway, because there's only one Layla, and you ain't gonna be able to wear that Gucci hijab like me. That's why it was given to me. It was made for me. That's the reality. Hello. People get angry at you when you come real with them like that. See, I'll come real with you. But a lot of other sisters wouldn't. They would take their little Gucci hijab off and give it to you and go back home to their rag. They'll go back home and put on their Aunt Jemima rag and call it a day. That's oppression. You want to take from her not because you needed that hijab, but because you just don't want her with it. You want to say you got it and you would never wear it. How many of us women are like that? That's a problem with women. That's why it's going to be more women in hell than men, because we suffer with that jealousy and greed. Okay? So the greedy desire of the self leads to stinginess. It also leads to oppression by taking the property of others. It also leads to the breaking of family ties, and it causes hatred and jealousy to the point where you will wish evil. A father will wish evil on his own son. A mother will curse her own child. This is why the war is here. Okay? And not only that, if you don't control the nature of the soul, it'll lead to you committing sins too. Because just as the nature of the soul is to feel superior and be better than others, remember, it's attracted to everything that's bad and dirty. Fornication is attractive. Intoxicants are attractive to it. And that's why we have a lot of Muslims who have no control over their desires, drinking, having girlfriends, having boyfriends, partying, not committing. You rather have a girlfriend on the internet rather than marry her. You'll leave a woman hanging between marriage rather than marry her. You don't want to commit because you're attracted to the girlfriend thing. You're afraid that if you marry her, that she's not going to want you anymore. How many of you suffer with that? You got a sister that you really know is cool and you want to marry her, but you're afraid. You're afraid that if you marry her, she's not going to look at you the same anymore. She's not going to want you the same anymore. So you rather just leave her hanging, promising her that you'll marry her, promising her that you'll commit to her, but you never do. A lot of you brothers suffer with that. That's a personal problem. You better learn to love yourself. Because women don't play, not the real righteous one. If a righteous woman tells you that you are all that and a bag of chips, you need to believe it, bro. Now, them irrighteous women, they play the sex game. But if it's a truly righteous woman that knows her purpose in life, who has her desires under control, who loves Allah, if she tells you that you are all that and a bag of chips, it's the truth. Don't leave her hanging. Commit before Allah take it away from you. Because Allah is not going to allow you brothers to leave a righteous woman hanging before a certain amount of time, because somebody will come up and take her from you. Truth, brothers. So, when people fail to control their desires, it leads to a lot of sins. And also, it leads to hatred. It leads to you hating others because of what they have. The simple fact that you brothers hesitated. You wouldn't commit to the righteous woman due to your own insecurities about yourself. Then when Allah sends someone else to her and she says, okay, I have no choice. The other one ain't moving, so she married the other one. Then you end up hating the man and hating the woman when it was your fault. You had a chance. You didn't take the chance. You were too busy tripping off your own inhibitions. Y'all get what I'm saying? This is the nature of the human being. You don't have to go to school and get a PhD in psychology. You don't have to bring in no Kafir woman or no Ashari woman to come into my website because she got a PhD in psychology to tell you anything. Allah told us about the nature of the human being. Okay? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam broke down our nature to us. Because we have our own soul problems. We end up hating what others have, even though we had the chance to have it too, but we threw it away or we didn't move on it. So that's the bad position that you take when you fail to control the nature of the soul. Now, for those of us who do learn to control the nature of the soul, we learn to love what Allah loves. We learn to hate what Allah hates. And that's called loving for the sake of Allah and hating for the sake of Allah. And there's a big difference. The difference between hating something for the sake of Allah and hating something on a personal level is the word personal. For example, I look at this sister here. This sister does not wear hijab, but she's a nice person. Okay? She'll volunteer to come over and babysit for me. Okay? I can call upon her whenever the mosque is having a food drive. She always comes to the mosque. She'll put a hijab on and volunteer for the food drive. Okay? But she doesn't wear hijab any other time. So I don't hate her on a personal level because she doesn't wear hijab. I just hate the fact that she doesn't wear hijab because it's something that Allah doesn't like about her. But it's not personal. Y'all get what I'm saying? When we learn to hate only what Allah hates, that's how we keep the balance in our soul. That's how we cause our soul to be balanced with the fitra of the heart. And that prevents us from transgressing the limits of Allah. Everybody understand that? So that's why people fall into either three types of sins. There are three different categories of sins. And I want all my kids to remember this. Maybe hold on. Yeah. There are three different types of sins. The first type of sins, these are sins which entail oppressing others or hurting others. For example, you want to steal somebody's car. You want to steal my hijab. You want to steal somebody's property. Or you want to deny me my right. Remember, anyone that declares La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, their life, their reputation, and their property is sacred. If you attack my life, my property, or my reputation, you have oppressed me. So that's the first type of sin. The second type of sin, these are sins in which you only oppress or hurt yourself. What's an example of a sin that if you indulge in it, you're only hurting yourself? Taking drugs. You choose to smoke cocaine. You choose to take meth. You choose to take opiates. You're hurting yourself. Another example is fornication. Rather than get married, you rather fornicate with women. You got a problem with marriage, but you would love to have sex with them out of marriage. You're hurting yourself. You're exposing yourself to downfall, diseases, destruction. Okay? So that's the second type of sin. Sins in which you only hurt yourself. And then the third type of sins. These are the sins in which you end up hurting yourself and others. For example, I get high off of cocaine, but then I decide to get in a car and go visit one of my friends. I am too high to drive, and I end up having a car accident. I end up killing someone. So that's an example of this category. I was originally just oppressing myself, but when I decided to get behind a car, now I exposed other people to my oppression. So these are the three different categories of sins. I want each and every one of you to take a good hard look at your life. Take a good hard look at yourself. Look and own up to yourself as to the sins you are committing. And ask yourself, do the sins you commit, do they fall in which one of these categories do they fall in? Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning. Say, all that my Lord has forbidden are despicable actions, those that are apparent and those that are not. He is also forgiving sins and transgression without justification. He is also forbidden that you associate with him that which you have been given no authority to do so. And he also hates that you say about him that which you do not know. So it doesn't matter how big or how small the sin is. All sins are actions of disobedience. All sins are transgressions against the law, and Allah hates them all. So I don't want to hear you tell me, oh, Sister Laila, I smoke cigarettes. That's just a little sin. Nope, it's a big sin. Cigarettes are an intoxicant, and all intoxicants are haram. Don't sit there and say, oh, well, at least I don't do it in the public. I'm doing it at home. It's still a bad sin. Whether you smoke that cigarette publicly or not, you're still disobeying Allah. You're still committing a sin. And don't dare try to justify your sin. Don't dare follow these fatwas where these ignorant brothers on the East Coast are telling you sisters and brothers that y'all can smoke weed because weed is good and clean when they don't have no evidence of that. It's all garbage. Because Allah hates that we say things about him that you know not. Okay? So as Muslims, we have to understand that yes, it is our nature to commit sin. It is our nature to give in to our desires. But we need to exercise justice with ourselves. What does that mean? We have to hold ourselves accountable. Understand that whatever choices we make in this world, Allah is going to hold us to account for them. And as the Prophet told us, the affairs of the people will remain good and straight as long as there's justice. Okay? It's when there's no justice and there's oppression in which the rights of the people are violated that Allah sends his punishment. Does everybody understand that? That's why it's been said, Allah establishes a just state, even if it's a disbelieving state. But Allah does not establish an oppressive state, even if it's Muslims. A lot of people say, I've heard a lot of Arabic people say, why is it that Allah allows America to stand? They say America is the superpower of the world. Why is it that Allah just don't take America out? Well, justice. I want y'all to ponder this hadith here, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that there are 6 characteristics about the Christians. The Christians are unbelievers, but they have 6 characteristics that we don't have. And because of those 6 characteristics, Allah will always keep them in the majority over us. One of them is they look out for their orphans. They take care of their poor. They take care of their needy. They take care of their weak. And that's true. America looks out for its orphans. America's got all kind of meals on wheels for the elderly, for the poor, for the downtrodden. Also, another characteristic, the Prophet said they do not allow their leaders to oppress them. If they have an oppressive government, they assassinate them. And that's true. America doesn't allow people to oppress it. If America thinks that you are an oppressor, they're going to take you out. They're going to kill you. They kill their presidents. They kill politicians all the time here in America. They kill lawyers too. Call them shysters. They're not going to allow their leaders to oppress them. What's the source of this hadith? Sahih Muslim. Sahih Muslim. So that shows Allah will establish a just state, even if it's a state that doesn't believe in him. But he will not establish an oppressive state, even if it's a Muslim state. Okay? Also, the affairs of this world will last with justice and disbelief, but they will not last with oppression and Islam. This is so true. Look at the world today. The last hour has not come yet, but it's in the making. The war against Islam is here. But as long as the world has justice in it, Allah ain't going to bring the last hour. And we're going to talk about this hadith too in another class. Even though there's a lot of filth going on in the world, homosexuality, drugs, prostitution, murder, killing, but still there's justice. So that's why the last hour ain't here yet. But when the last hour actually comes, it'll be after Jesus has died and there will be no justice anywhere. It'll be not everybody on earth. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, when the last hour comes, and what's the source? Bukhari and Muslim. He said, when the last hour comes, even though everyone who will be living on earth at that time are Muslim, they will claim that their religion is Islam. They will be the worst of mankind ever. They will be oppressive. They will be worse than animals. That's when the last hour will come. And we'll talk about these two hadiths in our class on the signs. Also, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said the quickest of evils to be punished by Allah is injustice and the breaking of family ties. And remember, guys, when Allah punishes us, he punishes us twice. He punishes us in this world and he punishes us in the hereafter. Subhanallah. I was speaking to someone earlier. You know, I was taking a trip down memory lane. I was talking about that time in Texas. Amina Fresno was with me. You know, when I was accosted. I was accosted by the Brogan boot women. They was going to jump Sister Laila. Do y'all know those women ain't Muslim today? Look at that. What happened to those women? Those women that was going to attack me. Where are they at now? The quickest of evils to be punished are the evils of injustice. Remember the MySpace women. The MySpace women that used to come to my website back in the 90s with all that slander and degradation of my character. Where are they now? Where are those women now? Look at them. Subhanallah. Allah doesn't like injustice in the land. He doesn't like injustice amongst us. And he doesn't like the breaking of family ties. How many of you who have broke off the ties of kinship are living a terrible life? You going from husband to husband, from man to man, children by different dudes. You can't find a good life because you broke the ties with your mother. You broke the ties with your father. You broke the ties with your family. Those two types of sins, Allah will punish real quick. All you got to do is sit back and wait. That's why I tell my students that people slandering you and talking bad about you, you ain't got to wait long. Just sit back. Just sit back. Allah is quick. Injustice, Allah doesn't like. A person steals money from the mosque. That's injustice. You want to steal money from the Muslims. That's injustice. Look what happened to those imams. Allah is swift, real swift in his retribution. So alhamdulillah, I'm going to stop right here. I hope this is clear.